6 ways to tell a woman is toxic. Every guy needs to know this, you might think. You know what makes a woman toxic? But here's the thing. It's not always the drama, queen vibes, or the glaring red flags. Toxicity can be subtle. It's often wrapped in charm, disguised as confidence, or even masquerades as care and affection. And if you don't know what to look for, you might find yourself trapped in a relationship that slowly chips away at your happiness and self-worth. Imagine this. You're constantly second-guessing yourself, your energy drained by endless arguments, or maybe you've started to lose touch with the person you were before the relationship. Sound familiar? That's the cost of not recognizing toxicity early, but don't worry, this video will change that for you. By the end of our time together, you'll have a clear understanding of how to spot these behaviors before they wreak havoc on your mental health and relationships. You'll know exactly what to watch for, how to protect your peace, and most importantly, how to make healthier choices moving forward. Welcome to Aimer, your go-to channel for real, relatable advice on navigating the complexities of love and relationships. Let's get started. Extreme control or manipulation. Now, this doesn't always come across as yelling or overt demands. Often, it's much more subtle. Guilt trips, emotional blackmail, or a constant need to micromanage your life. Think about it. Have you ever felt like you needed to ask for permission to hang out with your friends? Or maybe you've started to notice that you're walking on eggshells, carefully choosing your words or actions, just to avoid upsetting her that my friend is manipulation, and it doesn't stop there. Sometimes it looks like her using past mistakes against you, even when you've done everything you can to make up for them. It can even escalate to her dictating how you spend your money, your time, or even who you're allowed to talk to. This kind of control is toxic because it stifles your personal growth over time. You lose your sense of independence. You stop pursuing your own interests, spending time with your friends, or even dreaming about your future because all your energy is focused on keeping the peace. Let me give you an example. There was this guy, let's call him Mike. When Mike started dating his girlfriend, he thought she was just incredibly caring. She wanted to know everything about his day, his plans, even his friends. At first he found it endearing, but soon those check-ins turned into demands. She needed to know where he was at all times, who he was with, and why he hadn't replied to her texts within 5 minutes. Over time, Mike found himself saying no to hangouts with friends because it wasn't worth the argument. His hobbies forgotten, his friends distant, and the worst part, he didn't even realize how much he had given up until he finally walked away. The truth is, a healthy relationship allows you to grow as an individual. If you feel like you're losing yourself just to keep someone else happy, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate lack of accountability. This is the person who refuses to take responsibility for her actions, constantly shifts blame, and always finds a way to paint herself as the victim. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in an argument where no matter what happened, it somehow turned into your fault? Maybe you brought up a concern about how she treated you, but instead of addressing it, she flipped the script suddenly. It was about how you made her feel that way. Or worse, how it's all because of something you did weeks ago. If every argument ends with her saying something like, "You're the one who made me do it," then you're dealing with someone who refuses to own their actions. Why is this so toxic? Because relationships thrive on mutual accountability. Both people need to be able to admit when they're wrong, apologize, and work together to move forward. When someone constantly avoids taking responsibility, it creates a cycle of unresolved conflicts and growing resentment. You end up feeling like your concerns don't matter, and nothing ever truly gets resolved. Here's a story that might resonate with you. A man named Jordan was in a relationship where every disagreement spiraled into a blame game. One day, he mentioned feeling hurt because his girlfriend cancelled plans at the last minute. Instead of apologising, she said, "Well, if you'd planned something more exciting, I wouldn't have needed to cancel." This became a pattern any time he brought up an issue. She'd deflect, twist his words, or bring up unrelated problems from the past. Over time, Jordan realized that no matter how much he tried to communicate, the relationship stayed stuck in the same toxic cycle. A healthy relationship requires two people who can admit their mistakes and work through challenges. Is as a team, if she's unwilling to take accountability, you'll always be carrying the emotional weight of the relationship on your own. And that's not a partnership, it's a burden. Another red flag that can't be ignored is excessive jealousy or insecurity. Now, a little jealousy is normal in relationships. It shows you care. But when it becomes invasive or controlling, that's when it crosses the line into toxic territory. Let me paint a picture for you. Does she constantly check your phone, looking through your messages and call logs? Maybe she questions every interaction you have with a female colleague or accuses you of things that don't even make sense. It's not just about concern anymore, it's about control. This kind of jealousy isn't about love, it's about fear and insecurity, and it can quickly spiral into something destructive. Why is this so toxic? Because it undermines trust, which is the foundation of any healthy relationship. Without trust, you're left with suspicion, arguments, and a constant need to prove yourself over time. This kind of dynamic doesn't just damage the relationship, it can erode your confidence and even affect other areas of your life. Take Marcus, for example. He was dating a woman who seemed sweet and caring at first. But as their relationship deepened, her insecurities became more apparent. She didn't like that he worked closely with female colleagues and would call him repeatedly during the day to check in when he attended networking events. She accused him of flirting, or worse, even though he'd done nothing wrong. Eventually, her jealousy became so overwhelming that Marcus started avoiding professional opportunities just to avoid the fights. It got to the point where his career stalled because he was too busy managing her insecurities to focus on his goals. Here's the bottom line: jealousy that crosses into control doesn't protect the relationship. It destroys it. A healthy partner will trust you and support your growth, not hold you back with constant suspicion if you find yourself always having to prove your loyalty. It's time to reassess whether the relationship is worth it. Trust is earned, but it also has to be mutual. Without it, there's no real foundation to build on before we proceed. If you find value in this video, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us grow and makes you an integral part of our journey, and we deeply appreciate your contribution. Now, let's return to our discussion. Another unmistakable sign of toxicity is disrespect for boundaries. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, and that includes understanding and honoring each other's personal limits. But if she constantly ignores your no, invades your personal space, or dismisses your need for a one time, it's a major red flag. Healthy relationships respect boundaries. If she steamrolls yours, it's a clear indication that her needs always come first. And that's not love, that's control. Maybe she shows up unannounced at your workplace because she didn't like how you ended a conversation. Or perhaps she brushes off your requests for personal time by saying something like, "Why would you need space from me? I thought we were close." These behaviours might seem harmless at first, but over time they erode your sense of independence and self-worth. Why is this so toxic? Because boundaries are how we protect ourselves, our time, our energy, and our mental health. When someone disregards them, they're essentially saying, "My needs matter more than yours." This imbalance creates resentment and drains the relationship of mutual respect. Let me share a story with you. There's a man named Chris who was in a relationship where his boundaries were constantly dismissed. He loved spending time with his girlfriend, but he also valued his alone time to recharge whenever he mentioned needing space. She would accuse him of not caring about her enough or of trying to push her away. At first, Chris felt guilty and gave in sacrificing his personal time to avoid the arguments, but over time he began to feel exhausted, like he was losing himself one day. Chris decided to set firm boundaries. He explained to her why alone time was important to him and made it clear that it wasn't negotiable. Her reaction? She became angry, dismissive, and tried to guilt-trip him. That's when he realized that her refusal to respect his needs wasn't love. It was control. Walking away from that relationship was the best decision he ever made, and it helped him regain his confidence and sense of self. Here's the takeaway. Boundaries are non-negotiable in a healthy relationship. If someone truly cares about you, they'll respect your limits and encourage your independence. If she constantly disregards them, it's a sign of that the relationship is more about her control than your mutual happiness. And that's not something you should tolerate. Let's talk about another major sign of toxicity, narcissistic tendencies. This goes beyond confidence or self-assurance. It's about an exaggerated sense of self-importance, a constant need for attention, and a complete lack of empathy for others. Think about it. Does every conversation circle back to her needs and her desires? If so, you might be dealing with a narcissist. It's the kind of partner who expects the world to revolve around them, who brushes off your feelings as unimportant and who demands everything while giving little to nothing in return. Why is this so toxic? Because narcissism creates an unequal dynamic in the relationship over time. You'll find yourself emotionally drained, constantly giving and compromising, while she continues to take and demand more. Narcissists rarely, if ever, consider your perspective. They're too busy focusing on themselves. Take Eric, for instance, when he started dating his girlfriend. He was drawn to her charisma and charm. She was confident, outgoing, and always seemed to command the room. But as time went on, Eric began to notice a pattern. Every time he tried to share something about his day or open up about his struggles, she'd find a way to shift the focus back to herself. If he talked about a tough day at work, she'd interrupt with, "You think that's bad? Let me tell you about what happened to me on special occasions like his birthday." It wasn't about celebrating him. It was about what she wanted, where she wanted to go, and how she could make the day about her. Eric eventually realized that the relationship felt entirely one-sided. No matter how much effort he put in, it was never reciprocated, because to her, his needs were secondary to her own. Here's the reality. A healthy relationship is about balance and mutual care. If your partner can't show empathy or respect your emotions because she's too busy being the center of attention, that's not a partnership. It's emotional exploitation. You deserve someone who values you as much as you value them. And a narcissistic partner will never give you that. The final sign to watch out for is when your relationship feels like an emotional roller coaster. Unpredictable mood swings, constant drama, or conflicts that seem to come out of nowhere are clear indicators of toxicity. Let's be honest, relationships aren't always smooth sailing, but if every day feels like you're on an emotional battlefield, it's time to question if this is worth it. One moment, she's loving and sweet, and the next, she's picking a fight over something trivial. This constant shift in emotions doesn't just keep you on edge, it drains your energy and leaves you emotionally exhausted. Why is this so toxic? Because living in a state of constant emotional upheaval is harmful to your mental health. You're always on guard, unsure of what might trigger the next conflict over time. This chaos doesn't just affect your relationship, it spills into other areas of your life, impacting your peace of mind, your focus, and even your overall happiness. Let me share a story about Sam. Sam was in a relationship with a woman who thrived on chaos. She'd pick fights over the smallest things, a missed text, a slight change in tone, or even an innocent comment he made. Every day felt like walking through a minefield. If Sam tried to bring up his concerns, she'd either explode in anger or turn it into a tearful plea for sympathy. The cycle was endless one day after yet another argument that seemed to come out of nowhere. Sam decided he'd had enough. He ended the relationship, and the difference was like night and day. For the first time in months, he felt a sense of calm. He could think clearly, focus on his goals, and reconnect with the things that brought him joy. The chaos was gone, and with it, so was the constant weight on his shoulders. Here's the takeaway. A healthy relationship adds to your peace, not your stress. If your partner seems to create conflict just to keep things interesting or thrives on drama, it's a sign that the relationship might be doing more harm than good. Your emotional well-being matters, and no one should have the power to rob you of your peace, as a thank you for sticking with us. To this point, here's a bonus point. That's even more eye-opening. Let's talk about toxic positivity, a term that might sound strange but is incredibly important to understand. Toxic positivity isn't about being cheerful or optimistic. It's when someone dismisses genuine emotions by forcing false optimism. If every time you try to open up about something real, she shuts you down with phrases like, just think positive or you're overthinking it, she's not offering support, she's invalidating your feelings. And that can be just as damaging as outright negativity. Why is this so toxic? Because it minimizes emotional depth and creates a barrier to genuine connection. Relationships thrive on vulnerability and understanding. If you can't share your struggles or express how you truly feel, because she insists everything has to be positive all the time, it sends a clear message: your emotions aren't valid and there's no room for real conversations. Over time, this creates a disconnect, leaving you feeling unheard and isolated. Here's the thing: emotional maturity isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about being able to sit with difficult emotions, both yours and hers. If she can't do that, it's a red flag that the relationship might lack the emotional depth needed to thrive. Pay attention to how she reacts. When you're vulnerable, does she dismiss your concerns or try to brush them aside with a quick platitude? Or does she lean in, listen, and offer genuine empathy? Her response says a lot about her emotional maturity and whether she's truly capable of building a meaningful connection with you. At the end of the day, you deserve someone who's willing to walk through life's ups and downs with you, not someone who pretends the downs don't exist. Real connection comes from embracing all emotions, not just the comfortable ones. Drop a toxic no more in the comments. If you've made it this far, we'd love to hear from you. If this video resonated with you, give it a thumbs up to help others find it. And don't forget to subscribe for more real, relatable relationship advice. Share this with someone who might need it. It could be the nudge they've been waiting for. Thank you for watching. We've recommended a video on your screen right now that you'll absolutely love. Check it out, and we'll see you back here next video.